Hey guys, and welcome back. So today we're making a quick overview of the Zabbix monitoring software. And if you are also interested in some more deep dive tutorial videos, step-by-step guides, how can you configure one thing or another in this Zabbix monitoring software, then just subscribe to this channel because we have 100 plus videos where we talk about all sort of best practices and some potential mistakes, which will definitely help you in your journey with the Zabbix monitoring and all of the configuration stuff. And first we need to answer to the question like what a Zabbix is. And Zabbix is enterprise level open source monitoring software that you can use for any potential needs that you might have, starting with just home office monitoring with, I don't know, one desktop and one network switch or something else. And it also is perfectly suitable for large-scale enterprise, big companies, cross-data center, cross-geographical location monitoring within one single solution. So it is very flexible. It gives you a lot of options. And since it is open source, it is absolutely free. So you don't have to pay for any licensing, any functionality. There is no paper server that you monitor or paper data. You are the owner of your monitoring software. You are the owner of the choices that you make. So yeah, it's pretty easy. So all you have to do is just download it, install, and try to use it. So start to monitor something. And that something, as funny as could sound, is basically anything. And even as Zabbix states it in a homepage that with a Zabbix you can monitor anything. Of course, there are a lot of all sort of different monitoring softwares available online. Some are free, some are paid, but most of them are designated for some specific target. Let's say network stuff monitoring, server monitoring, cloud monitoring, application or services. However, with a Zabbix, you are able to monitor everything in one single installation of the Zabbix. So it doesn't matter if you have multiple branches in different cities, different countries, if you have some network devices, local Java applications, some services, databases, Windows, Linux, Macs, or whatever, you can monitor all of them within one single installation of the Zabbix. And of course, to do that, the first thing that you actually have to do is download the Zabbix, install it, and start using it. Download and installation process is straightforward, so all you need to do is go to the zabbix.com download section and then choose the way that is more suitable to you to install it. You can either go with the packages, and I will link a video above my head where we go step-by-step installation on the Oracle Linux system. And it's important to know that it's not possible to install the Zabbix server on a Windows machine. So you can monitor them, but the Zabbix server installation goes only on the Linux. So choose the distribution that you prefer, the version of it, database supported ones are MySQL, Postgres, or Oracle, the web server Apache Nginx, and do the installation. There's also a pretty small, like just a couple of lines of the commands that you need to execute to successfully install Zabbix server. But again, if you prefer to follow some guide, then go back to that link I showed previously. If you don't want to do like the local installation on a virtual machine or a physical server, both are supported by the Zabbix. You can, of course, choose the cloud. So AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, Linode, Oracle Cloud, Red Hat OpenShift, and a Yandex Cloud, all of them have official Zabbix server images on them available in a marketplace. So you can just go inside your existing AWS, open the marketplace, and spin up your first Zabbix server installation in no time. If you prefer the containers, there you go. Docker, appliance, mostly for the testing purposes only. If you're like a big geek and you want to compile the Zabbix on your own from the sources, there you go. This is open source, so all the source files of this monitoring product are available for download, and yeah, you can check them, view them, read them, do whatever you want. And this is for the Zabbix agent, which is going to be used for the monitoring. And I think it's time to actually go to the demo installation of the Zabbix, the actual front end, and look a little bit at how it looks right inside. And this is the official front end of your Zabbix monitoring software, in which it's basically just a centralized configuration management platform where you can make all the changes to the environment that you're monitoring, also do all the visualization stuff. So right now we have a dashboard with all the data that we're collecting from some items like the Zabbix server SDA disk read and write rate, some map that is showing the status of our data center, some geomap widget where we can see some hosts with some high severity or warning severity problems in them, and yeah, graphs like this and like that. But first of all, we need to answer to the question like, what are the potential monitoring types? How can we collect the data? And out of the box, when you are creating an item, it's pretty straightforward. So item is the one which is responsible to collect the data. You need to choose the type, basically the protocol, how this item will collect the data from our data source, maybe the server, network device, or whatever else. And the first two are most common, the Zabbix agent. So light, very small software application, the agent that you install on your Windows or Linux machine. Just download it again from the zabbix.com. It's a Messiah installer for a Windows, package for a Linux. Get it up and running, fill in 1 or 2 parameters in the config file, and the agent starts to collect the data from your server. There you go. There is a built-in way of the items that you can collect, like the number of TCP sockets, of course, the networking stuff, incoming, outgoing traffic, memory usage, disk space usage, CPU usage, and a lot more. And there are built-in templates for all of that, but we'll talk about the templates shortly. Next, we have a simple check, which basically does not require the installation of the agent at all. All the monitorings are done from the Zabbix server, and it is basically used for just a port check or just a simple ICMP ping to make sure that the host is reachable and available. SNMP agent, all 3 versions are supported, V1, 2C, and 3 for network monitoring. SNMP traps, Zabbix internal are clearly for internal monitoring of the Zabbix to monitor internal processes, just to make sure that your monitoring system is healthy. Trapper, which gives you an option to integrate Zabbix with some self-written scripts that might have nothing to do with a Zabbix at all. So let's say you have some PowerShell script which is running some logic on your Windows server, and as a result it is getting one single value, and then you can use a Zabbix sender, small again utility, just to send this value to the Zabbix Trapper item type, and that value will be received in the front end so you can process it with the triggers. External checks, again for the scripts on some servers, database monitoring for ODBC monitoring, HTTP agent for some API service monitoring, IPMI, SSH, Telnet, JMX for Java, and calculated to simply operate with already collected data. And if all of that sounds complicated, like, okay, I need to create some sort of items, there are some types, some keys that are designated for some values, there are plenty of built-in templates in a Zabbix installation. So if you go to the configuration templates, you can find a lot of things, like if you're looking for a Windows network by the Zabbix agent, Windows memory by the Zabbix agent, just template operating systems over SNMP v2, SNMP, Windows services, a lot of things. And let's say if we would look Windows by Zabbix agent, you can see that there are already 32 items that will measure the uptime, memory size, used memory, system hostname, local time, performance counters for memory pages, faults, pull non-pages, and other stuff. So all of this will be monitored out of the box. You don't need to create any items, just create a host, install an agent, link a template. There you go. Data starts to come inside your monitoring software. And then there are the triggers. So the triggers are used to notify you about the problems. When one of these items, let's say we have here example, the CPU interrupt time is too high. So we are monitoring the CPU interrupt time. And if the received value is higher than we define in this trigger, then it will trigger the problem on our host. And remember, the problems are visible in the dashboards. There is also the monitoring problems view where we clearly can see all the problems happening right now in our instance. And of course, you don't have to look in the front end all the time and monitor some happening problems in your interface. You can just configure your actions in the configuration actions, trigger actions, and say that, let's say, if the environment equals production and the time period when the problem happened, what I want to do is send a message to all admins via email, maybe send a message to manager via mobile text message, and also automatically create a ticket in a ServiceNow ticketing system. So yeah, like this is the way how we process with items, templates, triggers, and actions. And keep in mind that the Zabbix is very popular product and growing pretty fast. So it's not some sort of old monitoring system which is still here around and many people are using them. So basically, a couple of months ago, the Zabbix 6.0 LTS version was released, which included a lot of new functionalities like Kubernetes monitoring, native high availability, a lot of new out-of-the-box available templates, and development of the product continues. So after a couple of months, there will be a new version 6.2, and we also have a video talking about the roadmap of the 6.2, and you can find it here in the zabbix.com. So a lot of new features will come out, and the company itself is pretty active, so there are a lot of webinars, meetups, conferences, engagement in the forum where you can ask all sort of the questions and get your answers. And again, I will remind, it's pretty important that, remember, it is open source. You don't have to pay anything. If you're like, well, I don't know, should I use it? Is it what I need? Just try it out. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't need to start up with some extreme hardware servers. You can spin it up on a Raspberry Pi. Just try to monitor 1, 2, or 3 network devices, some Windows, Linux servers, and then if everything satisfies you, just start growing out from there.